Hi everyone, Ali from WiiM TV here. How's your audio life treating you? Having a blast? Today we're bringing you part 2 of our guide on how to use the WiiM Home App. Watch this to the end and you'll have the ultimate streaming setup ready in no time. Alright, let's dive right in. Take it away, Coco.
In our previous video, we covered everything up to the sub-out settings in Step 3. Today, we're moving forward to the next section, starting with the sound settings. Step 4. How to use sound settings. 1. EQ. The sound settings section is the command center for controlling your WiiM device's audio output. Every WiiM device comes equipped with 2 types of EQ. Most of you are probably familiar with the graphic EQ, or GEQ. It's a 10-band equalizer that lets you tweak the sound to your exact liking. There are 24 preset EQs available, making it easy to adjust on the fly based on what you're listening to. For example, if you find it hard to hear dialogue on TV, try the Vocal Booster preset. Once you've created a custom EQ, just tap the Save button, enter a name, and hit Create. It will then be added to your list of EQ profiles. You can edit the name or delete it using the 3-dot icon. For users who want even more granular control over their sound, there's the Parametric EQ, or PEQ. You can choose between stereo mode or independent L/R mode. Tapping a number will display that specific band on the graph. You can then drag that number to adjust the gain for any frequency. If you need more precision, simply tap the values for each filter. You can fine-tune the frequency, gain, and Q factor using either the on-screen buttons or your keyboard. Let's quickly break down the 5 filter types. PK stands for peaking. It boosts or cuts a specific narrow range. It's perfect for precise adjustments. LS is a low shelf filter. It boosts or cuts frequencies below a specific point. This is very effective for increasing or decreasing just the bass. HS is a high shelf filter, the opposite of LS. It boosts or cuts frequencies above a specific point, which is great for adjusting the treble. LP is a low-pass filter. This is primarily used to create signals for subwoofers. HP is a high-pass filter. This is mostly used to create signals for your main speakers. By using LP and HP, you can actually repurpose the line out on WiiM devices that don't have a dedicated sub-out to function as a subwoofer output. Saving a PEQ profile works exactly the same as GEQ. One important thing to remember, WiiM allows you to set a different EQ for every single input. Even if you want to apply the same EQ across the board, don't forget to manually assign it to each individual input. 2. RoomFit. RoomFit is an advanced feature that measures your room's unique acoustics and optimizes your system's sound for the most accurate reproduction possible. Let's be real, most homes have acoustic limitations that make perfect sound hard to achieve. But with RoomFit, you can get your room's acoustics much closer to that ideal. You can learn the basics through the guide in the WiiM Help Center. Just tap the question mark icon in the top right corner. I also highly recommend checking out the threads on the WiiM Forum. There are some incredibly knowledgeable members there who can help you troubleshoot specific audio issues. I'd like to share a few basics I've picked up from the forum. These are the recommended values for RoomFit parameters, and I suggest starting with these settings. Tap the gear icon and set the following: target curve, B and K, frequency, 20 Hz to 300 Hz, max gain, plus 12 decibels, min gain, minus 12 decibels, max Q, 10, non-boost mode, enabled, subwoofer calibration, enabled if you have a sub, moving mic measurement, disabled, smoothing, variable, multiple measurements, disabled. Now let's talk about microphones. While RoomFit can use the built-in mic on your smartphone or tablet, I strongly recommend using an external microphone for more precise control over the low end. I personally use the Dayton IMM-6C. It's a USB-C mic, so you can just plug it into your phone and get to work. Plus, it's very affordable. Just be careful not to confuse it with the IMM-6, which is the AUX version. The IMM-6C comes with its own unique calibration file. You can download it by entering your serial number on the Dayton Audio website. You'll find that number on the back of the packaging. Once you upload this calibration file to RoomFit, you'll be able to perform a precise microphone calibration for the best results. Once you've set up the mic at ear level in your listening position, go ahead and run RoomFit. Using your normal listening volume is fine, but if you're doing a moving mic measurement, boost the volume slightly and make sure the room is free of background noise. With this method, low test signal volume can be easily affected by things like air conditioning noise. It might be easier for beginners to start with moving mic measurement turned off. The RoomFit takes about 2 minutes to complete. Please watch the entire process without any cuts until the measurement is finished. Follow the on-screen instructions to start the test sound. You'll then choose between stereo or individual channel. This determines whether you measure both speakers together or each one separately. I personally recommend individual channel. Once the tuning is done, you'll see the results. The gray line shows your original room acoustics. The pink line is the correction value, and the blue line represents the acoustics after correction. If you're happy with it, tap Complete Correction to save your profile. If you want to hear the difference first, proceed to the evaluation. The test signal will play again, and you'll see the final result. You can tap Adjust Again to measure again. You can also tap View Filter Detail to see more details. If you like the results, save your profile. You can also skip this step if you don't want to save. Your saved profiles are listed under My Profiles on the RoomFit screen. You can create multiple profiles and switch between them to compare. You can even tap the edit icon to fine-tune a profile and evaluate the results. When rearranging your room or changing your audio system, it's a good idea to run an evaluation to check if everything is working correctly. However, once you find a profile you like, try not to change it too often. Remember, RoomFit is a tool to solve room issues, not a flavor-of-the-day EQ. One last thing, on every WiiM device except the WiiM Mini, you can stack EQ on top of RoomFit. This means you can use RoomFit to fix your room's acoustics, and then use EQ to tweak the sound to your personal taste. It might seem a bit daunting at first, but if you master this, you can get pro-level studio sound for free. It's an incredible feature, so I really hope you give it a try. 3. Dynamic Bass. Dynamic Bass is a new feature currently available only on the WiiM Sound and WiiM Sound Lite as of this writing. It's expected to be added to other devices soon, so I wanted to introduce it here. Dynamic Bass automatically adjusts the amount of bass based on your playback volume. It's similar to a loudness function, but because it's fully automatic, you only need to set it once. You can boost the bass anywhere from 0 to +10. The default is set to +8, which helps prevent the bass from sounding thin when you lower the volume. A setting of 0 is equivalent to off, so just set it to 0 if you prefer not to use it. 4. Audio settings. Fixed volume output is a feature that locks the volume at 100% and disables the device's volume control. Generally, I recommend keeping this off. Note that devices with built-in power amps, like the Amp Ultra and WiiM Sound, do not have this fixed function. In line-out level, you can adjust the output voltage from the line-out ports. I recommend matching this to the input sensitivity of your amplifier. Volume limit allows you to set a cap on the maximum volume. Essentially, if you set the limit to 50%, even if you crank the volume slider to 100%, the actual output will only reach half its capacity. This feature prevents unexpected loud blasts from damaging your speakers or your ears. I also strongly suggest adjusting the volume limit when you're using EQ, RoomFit, or pre-gain. Keeping it below 90% is usually a safe bet. Optical output resolution and coaxial output resolution let you select the sample rate and bit depth for your digital outputs. Be sure to choose the maximum value that your connected device can support. Fixed resolution is a feature designed to eliminate the pop noise that can occur on certain devices when switching between tracks. If you experience noise between songs with different sample rates, try toggling this on. After changing the resolution, tap Play Test Audio to check if sound is coming out of the speaker correctly. Under Audio Channel, you can choose the specific signal output for your speaker pair. Options include mono, stereo, left channel, or right channel. If you select the left or right channel, both speakers will output only that specific channel's audio. Keep in mind that this function is disabled on follower devices during group playback. Volume balance lets you fine-tune the balance between your speakers. If you feel like one speaker is louder than the other, you can compensate for it here. Finally, fade-in and fade-out effects is another feature that helps suppress pop noise between tracks. 5. Audio output. The audio output section is where you can change your output destination. You can also switch this directly from the Now Playing screen. For devices with USB output like the WiiM Ultra, the USB out option will appear here as soon as your USB DAC is powered on. Each output comes with its own specific set of settings. In line out, you can adjust the line out level and change the DAC digital filter type. The available filters depend on the internal DAC of your specific WiiM device. For example, the Ultra offers 7 different filters for you to choose from. For optical out and coax out, a new feature called simultaneous line out has been added. At the moment, this is only available in the WiiM Ultra beta firmware, but I wanted to mention it here. When enabled, this allows you to output both digital and analog signals at the same time, meaning you can drive 2 sets of speakers simultaneously. While it's still in beta, we expect it to be officially rolled out soon. Sample rate switch latency is another feature that adds a short delay between tracks to suppress pop noise. It's a different approach compared to fixed resolution or fade-in and fade-out effects, and can solve issues specific to certain external DACs. The headphone out even has its own dedicated EQ. Other settings like output levels and DAC digital filters function just like they do for the line out. For USB out, you'll have options for output resolution and fixed resolution. The available resolutions will vary depending on the specs of the USB device you connect. When using Bluetooth headphones or speakers, set them to pairing mode first, then tap the pair icon under Bluetooth out. Once your headphones show up in the available devices list, just tap to pair. If you're having trouble, try tapping the refresh icon. Your previously paired headphones will also be listed here. You can tap the info icon to unpair a device. From now on, simply turning on headphones will switch the WiiM's output to Bluetooth and connect it. The WiiM will automatically connect to the last connected Bluetooth device. DLNA out is currently a beta feature. It lets you connect wirelessly to any DLNA-enabled device and cast your WiiM's audio over the network. In my testing at home, casting to a single WiiM device works perfectly, but I've run into some dropouts and stability issues when trying to cast to multiple devices or gear from other brands. Also, keep in mind that the latency is quite high, making it difficult to keep the audio in sync with video for things like movies. As of now, the WiiM Ultra, Pro, and Pro Plus are the models that support DLNA out. 6. Audio input. In the audio input screen, you have full control over how your device handles incoming signals. Under Input Source Selection, you can switch between inputs and even rename them. Just tap the edit icon, pick a preset name, or type in a custom one and hit save. Group Audio Delay allows you to adjust the latency during multi-room playback. While you can set different delay amounts for each input, keep in mind that the Wi-Fi input is fixed at 800 milliseconds. Be careful with lower settings. Dropping it to 70 milliseconds often leads to playback issues. It's important to distinguish this from audio sync. While audio sync aligns the timing between specific devices, group audio delay manages the latency for the entire group. Also, remember that this setting is only functional on the group leader device. As we discussed earlier, pre-gain is used to balance volume differences between inputs. Try to adjust it so that every source sounds equally loud at the same volume setting. When using pre-gain, I strongly recommend tweaking your volume limit to avoid any noise from digital clipping. In auto-sensing of HDMI and optical in, you can enable the system to automatically switch inputs when a signal is detected. However, remember the one-way limitation. It will not automatically switch from HDMI back to optical in. For example, if you stop your CD player on the optical input and turn on your TV, it will switch to HDMI, but it won't switch back to the CD player just by hitting play. There's also a specific feature here to reduce noise that sometimes occurs during TV audio input. If you hear a pop or hiss when switching sources on your TV, try toggling this on. Just be aware that it adds a slight amount of audio latency. Toggling, use HDMI audio only in HDMI mode, to on, allows the TV speakers to output audio when the WiiM is in any mode other than HDMI. This is perfect if you prefer using your TV's built-in speakers for casual watching, but want your high-end setup for everything else. Keep it off if you want the sound to always come through your WiiM connected speakers. Since this can be hit or miss with certain TV models, the WiiM Ultra Beta firmware actually includes a new auxiliary toggle to improve compatibility. If you have an Ultra and it's not behaving as expected, definitely give that beta firmware a try. For line-in/AUX in, you can manage the auto-sensing and set the input resolution. I generally recommend setting the resolution to 24-bit/96 kHz. Without getting too deep into the weeds, just know that this setting provides the highest possible sound quality.
Wait, there's one more thing. Let's dive into a handy new feature added in the latest Ultra Beta firmware.
Indeed, it's the standby mode source setting. By enabling this, you can designate a specific default input for while the device is in standby mode. This effectively speeds up the handshake process when you wake the device to start playback. For those using the optical input, setting this to optical in is a great way to bypass any auto-sensing hiccups and get your music flowing instantly. If you enable per-source volume control, the WiiM will remember the last volume level used for each specific input. This is a lifesaver because it saves you from having to readjust the volume every single time you switch sources. Here is a pro tip you'll want to remember. The WiiM Amp, Amp Pro, and Amp Ultra have a safety feature that resets the volume to 35% upon reboot. If you want this safety reset to work, you must keep per-source volume control turned off. Step 5. How to use voice and streaming settings. In the voice and streaming settings, you can manage your smart features and enable or disable various streaming services. If you enable Alexa under Amazon Alexa settings, you'll be able to use voice control via the WiiM remote and link your device with other Alexa speakers. If you already set this up during the initial installation, there's nothing more you need to do here. Enabling Google Cast allows you to use Google's casting features and integrate your WiiM with the Google Home app. Again, if this is already active, you're all set. For Android users who use Spotify, here's a tip. We recommend enabling Google Cast but keeping Allow Google Cast service turned off. This resolves the issue where Spotify Connect is unavailable on some Android phones. If you use Squeeze Lite, you can enable it right here. Under More Streaming Services, you'll currently find Spotify, Tidal Connect, Qobuz Connect, RoomFit, and Soundtrack. While Spotify is always active and cannot be disabled, I highly recommend only enabling the services you actually use. This helps reduce the load on your network. Step 6. How to use hardware settings. The 12-volt trigger menu appears on streamers equipped with a trigger out port. This allows you to control the trigger behavior for all streamers except the WiiM Mini, and you can see the current status of the trigger right here. If you enable trigger handling during reboot, it prevents connected equipment from staying powered on when the WiiM performs a reboot. Since WiiM devices automatically reboot on a regular schedule, some users found that their amps or DACs were being left on indefinitely. This feature was added specifically to address that. If you've encountered this issue, definitely give this toggle a try. There are also buttons to trigger on once or trigger off once. To be honest, I haven't found a regular use case for these yet, but they're great for testing your setup if something isn't working quite right. Next is the status light. Every WiiM device features an LED indicator that uses different colors to show the device's status. Generally, the color changes based on the active input. To give you a rough breakdown, white means Wi-Fi or Ethernet, green is for Bluetooth, orange is for HDMI or optical, and light green indicates line in. Honestly, some of these can be pretty hard to tell apart. In that regard, the LEDs on the Amp Pro are fantastic. Bluetooth is blue and HDMI is purple, so you can tell exactly which input is active at a glance. I really wish they'd unify all the devices to this standard. However, there are two colors you absolutely must remember. A solid yellow light means the network is disconnected, and a flashing red light is a warning. It means an error has occurred. If you see these danger signals, unplug the power from both your device and your router, wait a few moments, and then reconnect them. If that doesn't fix it, please send feedback through Feedback and Tickets in the WiiM Home app. When you send feedback this way, the system automatically attaches your device logs, which is incredibly helpful for the support team to solve your problem. You can also ask for help on the WiiM Forum, but I strongly recommend sending that feedback first. Getting back to the menu, you can also toggle the status light on or off here. Unless you have a specific reason to hide it, I'd suggest keeping it on. Knob volume step will appear on WiiM devices that have a physical volume knob. This lets you adjust how much the volume changes with each turn. Setting it to 5 allows for faster adjustments, while keeping it at 1 is better if you prefer more granular, precise control. By turning off prompt sound, you can mute the device's various jingles, such as the startup sound. However, keep in mind that this doesn't silence system announcements. You'll still hear voice prompts for things like setup mode or Bluetooth pairing. Finally, Reboot is a simple button to restart your device. It performs the exact same function as the one found in the device info section.
Coco, it's time for a walk. Come on, let's go.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. In our next video, part 3, we'll be taking a deep dive into all the remaining sections.
Well, that's all for today. Stay tuned for more pro tips in our next video. Thanks for watching. If this helped, please like and subscribe. Wishing you the ultimate musical experience. See you next time. Peace.